Amanda Rishworth is the Labor MP for Kingston in South Australia. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, Chris.
Now, the Productivity Commission is releasing this report into childcare, recommending a single means-tested payment, less money for the very well-off, more money for the less well-off. On the surface, this looks like a good proposal, doesn't it?
Well, first of all, I'm very pleased that the Productivity Commission is releasing its report. We've been calling for it to release its report for some time now. Obviously, I haven't seen the report and we'll be looking at it very carefully. Of course, ensuring that low and middle income families have better access to affordable childcare is really important, as well as, of course, high quality childcare. I think we've got to keep in mind that we shouldn't be watering down quality. When I talk to parents, they want to know that the quality of childcare they're getting meets a very high standard.
Well, the new Social Services Minister, Scott Morrison, has said that he wants to keep those improvements in quality that were introduced under Labor. Do you see this as a sign where the government is actually genuine and trying to get bipartisan support on this policy?
Well, look, we're happy to work with the government to look at the area of childcare. I mean, certainly the previous minister talked down the quality reforms quite significantly and was constantly criticising those improvements that were made, that were actually welcomed by many childcare centres and indeed many families. But look, in addition, we have to say that already the government has ripped about $1 billion out of childcare. So obviously when we're talking about improving accessibility and affordability, we can look at the system, but taking $1 billion out of the system is of great concern. Also around, obviously we've got to see the details of the Productivity Commission report. In their draft report, they did have some targeted programs for very disadvantaged families taken away. Of course, that is of concern, and a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't always help, especially those very disadvantaged families. So look, we want to see affordable, accessible, high-quality childcare, and look, we'll work with the government to do that if that's their genuine agenda. But they shouldn't start by, first of all, ripping the $1 billion out of childcare. Certainly we want to see quality maintained in our childcare centres, and of course, ensuring that it's targeted at low and middle income earners.
Now, what about this idea of also funding nannies? Something that's been talked about quite a bit. Scott Morrison has made clear that this is a report to government, not a report from government, so he's kind of opening up the field for debate in these areas. What's Labor's view when it comes to, say, funding nannies out of this same single payment?
Well, look, one of the concerns is that Scott Morrison and the previous ministers before have said there will not be any extra spending on childcare, and that means that indeed with the $1 billion cuts, there's actually less money to spend on childcare. So I think there's a lot of questions about what happens if we fund nannies. Does that mean that there is less accessibility in our childcare centres, less places in our childcare centres, less ability for families to get places in the childcare centre? So if you're not increasing the bucket of money, if you're not putting the $1 billion back in, you're maintaining those cuts, then the question will be is what impact taking money away from childcare centres to redirect it to nannies will have. Obviously,
but surely that's something that should be decided by parents, if you like, what works best for them. If a childcare centre, they can't get access to it for whatever reason, isn't it better? It's kind of almost like a market forces thing, that if nannies work better for particular parents, shouldn't they have that option?
Well, look, if their first choice is a childcare centre and money has been redirected, I mean, that is of concern. I mean,
But they're the ones receiving this payment. The parents are, shouldn't it be up to them to decide how they spend it?
Well, look, the PC report has also been suggesting that obviously the money goes direct to childcare, but it is per family that the money is worked out. But of course, you know, we will have a look through all the proposals. What my point is when you're not increasing the bucket of money, what does that have on availability of services? We know that there are very long waiting lists for childcare centres, and a lot of those families want to put their child into a childcare centre because they would like that interaction, that social interaction, and they're not able to get in. So I think one of the issues with this report is how are we going to ensure that places are available for families and that there isn't huge waiting lists at our childcare centres? And the reports today, I mean, we haven't seen the report, so I'll have to have a look at it, but the reports in the newspapers today don't suggest any necessary mechanism to increase accessibility of childcare necessarily when it comes to long wait lists.
Okay, Amanda Rishworth, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.